All right. What is this? All right, guys, let's get started because we're a bit late, but nonetheless, we're still before Pesach, so that's good news. All right, so we're carrying on tonight. Last week we did the biblical basis of Pesach, all the scriptures, and a little bit on how it was done in the temple times and how the Pesach sacrifice itself was brought, and all the logistics of doing the sacrifices. It was a big, big process, eh? I think Josephus, we forgot to mention it last week, Josephus mentions there was 256,000 registered men the 1 year, which means that brought the Pesach lamb. That's a lot. And think about that, one lamb is registered for about 10 people. So it's a lot of people. I think I got the number wrong there, but anyway. But it's a lot of people. Yeah, question?
Just a recap.
Recap. Yeah, a rekeeper. Yes?
One thing that you left us with towards the end of your teaching was.
But you guys have homework.
I don't know, we have many minutes of our time.
Okay, a lot of work at home. Yeah?
We did not eat the lamb, the Pesach,
Today's life, yeah.
Why?
Because the lamb itself is a separate mitzvah from the Torah. If you eat lamb on Pesach evening today, when there's no temple, you're making it look to others as if you're breaking the Torah commandment that says you shall not eat this lamb anywhere else. You shall not perform the sacrifice outside the place which God chooses. So you're making it look as if you're breaking a commandment. So it's always a bad idea. Some people go and raise the point that certain Sephardic people today actually do eat the Pesach lamb, but the rest of Judaism considers them heretics. And I don't think you want to be. And actually, modern day Judaism says that's even punishable by excommunication. Yeah. So it's a tradition to help us guard the mitzvah, because we're commanded to guard the commandments of God. Yeah, happy? All right, so that's why we don't eat the Pesach lamb or any lamb today, for Pesach Seder at least. All right, good stuff. No, just for that Seder, just for that night. That night's meal. Yeah, you're allowed to eat lamb for the rest of the time, it's not a problem. Good to have some lamb, if you can afford it. And by the way, Pesach meat, all the butchers have now got their kosher for Pesach meat ready. So if you want to go buy some kosher meat for Pesach, now's a good time to go. They've taken out all their meat, they've blowtorched all their fridges and made everything ready, and now you can get a special little sticker. I'll show you guys what it looks like. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Pesach cleaning. It's not as easy as making a Google search for Chometz. Okay, either on your desktop, in your kitchen, your living room, your car, your dining room, or what is here? Never mind, we're going into Hebrew here. Right, so we're going to learn about how to prepare your house for Pesach. What is Chometz? Where is Chometz? How do you get rid of Chometz? And hashtag Chometz must fall. Okay, I stole that from the EFF, by the way. All right, so let's have a look. Here's some of the relevant verses. I'm just going to quote two of them. Exodus 12 says, "For 7 days you are to eat matzah." So remember last week we spoke about it, that modern day halakha says you don't have to eat matcha every single day, only on the first day, the first night especially. But it's a very good custom to try and eat at least a small piece every morning, just to remember the commandment. On the first day, remove the leaven from your houses. For whoever eats chametz from the first to the 7th day is to be cut off from Israel. During those 7 days, no leaven is to be found in your houses. Whoever eats food with chametz in it is to be cut off from the community of Israel. Doesn't matter whether he is a foreigner or a citizen of the land. Eat nothing with chametz in it. Wherever you live, eat matzah. So that applies even outside the land of Israel. Okay? Wherever you live, you should not have it for 7 days. Here's another one, Deuteronomy 16. You are not to eat any chametz with it. For 7 days you are to eat with it matzah, the bread of affliction. How many of you enjoy matzah? It's called bread of affliction for a reason. Stop it. For you came out of the land of Egypt in haste. Thus you'll remember the day that you left the land of Egypt as long as you live. There's a few more quotes that I left out. I think Exodus 13 also talks about it. So chametz, you shall not have chametz. What on earth is chametz? That's the question, the burning question. So here's a loose definition. Chametz is any grain product in which fermentation has occurred. Very loose definition, but that gives you a good starting point. Any grain product in which fermentation has occurred. Okay. Now the word chametz comes probably from the Hebrew root chamutz, which means sour. You know, like for example, sourdough, right? So you get sourdough as a way of leavening dough as well. Or if you have like old dough, you can take a piece of that old dough and add it to your new dough, and that'll become a leavening agent, right? So that's the root of it. So you got sour, chamutz. So it doesn't apply to all the grains under the sun. Our rabbis have deciphered for us that it only applies to the 5 grains that were available to the Israelites at that time, which is wheat, barley, spelt, oats, and rye. What's die volgende een? Rye. Yes, good stuff. So those are the 5 only, which means that there are other types of grains that do not make chometz. What are some examples? What can you guys give me? What else can we make things from? Corn, millipap. You're allowed to have that on Pesach. Yeah, that's one of them. There's a few other things. Yeah, when we were in Jerusalem the one year, when we went into the market during Pesach looking for something that remotely resembled bread, we saw, yeah, they had like these corn breads that they made, and even potato bread. They even used potato to make bread as well. Everything else is fine, kosher for Pesach. Only derivatives from these 5 grains are qualified as chometz, that is forbidden on Pesach. So you're allowed to have, but rice as well, rice, right? But here's the thing though. No, rice you're allowed to have, unless you follow the tradition that does not eat stuff like rice and milis. So if you want to be more stringent in your Pesach observance, I think this is the Ashkenazi tradition, is that we don't eat those extra things because of the possibility that it might be qualified as chometz. But it is not on the minimum basis of kashrut. So it's actually got a name. It's called kitniot. All these other things are called kitniot. I kid you not. Yes, you can make cholent, you can make all those things. Isal, you had a question. Cornbread. Yes.
You can make cornbread.
Without chometz and with chometz.
But you have to make without baking powder.
Yeah, no, baking powder is fine.
Baking powder fine.
Huh?
You can kosher for Pesach.
Yeah, just make sure. Eh? Yeah, just make sure that you get one with a heksha, a kosher for Pesach one, because other ones they've usually got chometz in it, and then like you just said, Edmund said, it's a good idea to just throw it away.
What is spelt?
Spelt? I don't know, but that's how it's spelled. Who's got any experience with spelt here? We don't use it in South Africa, eh? Unless you go to Discam or one of those health stores, I'm sure they've got all these weird things there. I have no idea. I've never had anything speltish before. Good question. Oh, it's a good question. Well, we'll have to find out, eh? We'll have to go back to the Google page. Okay, so you guys got that. The 5 grains are the derivatives, those specific ones. Yes, Marie? You are. You're allowed to have these 5 grains in your cupboard in your house. But here's the problem though. Because it's such a big danger that a minute drop of water falls into them, it automatically within 18 minutes becomes chometz. So what people do usually is they try not to have in their cupboards for safety's sake, but you're allowed to. One of the other problems is that sometimes like wheat, some wheat that you buy has already been washed before they package it. And then it automatically becomes chometz. So then it's not a good idea to have it in your cupboard at all. So for safety's sake, try not to have them. But if you do have them, just make sure they haven't been washed, or just put them in. Try not to have them. Put them away with the rest of your stuff that you store away for Pesach. Deep freezer. You're allowed to store if it's not under your possession. So that's why synagogues have the setup where you sell your chometz before Pesach comes. Because one of the prohibitions is you're not allowed to own chometz. So that's why they got this whole thing where you sell it. Okay, so if anyone wants to buy my chometz, please let me know. We've got a lot to get rid of. Okay, we're going to carry on talking about the rules shortly. So what happens is, once one of these 5 grains is mixed with water and left to sit for longer than 18 minutes, it becomes chometz. So if you're making matzah, this is one of the laws you've got to keep in mind. As soon as you add water to the flour in your mixing bowl, you've got to start kneading it as fast as you can, rolling it out with a rolling pin, making it thin, putting holes in it, and make sure that the thing is completely baked before 18 minutes have passed, since the water and the flour has come into contact. So you've got to keep that in mind if you want to make your own matzah to make sure that it's kosher for Pesach. But at the same time, it's very difficult. But now, They also say that if you work the dough all day long, it doesn't become chometz. Until you leave it to sit down, then it starts the fermenting process. Then it becomes chometz. So if you want to go and bake all day long by just rolling it around and play tennis with it, you can do that. Right? But I don't know why you would want to do that, because there's a lot of cleaning you have to get done, so don't waste your time.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But isn't flour made from wheat?
Yeah, well, you get different types of flour, né? So you're allowed to have wheat. All of our matzah is made from wheat. But only after 18 minutes after water's been added, then it becomes chometz.
Okay.
So you got to bake it before the 18 minutes, and therefore it's kosher for Pesach bread, matzah. Yeah. Okay. So the fermentation process is allowed for other things like grapes. We had this question last week because grapes get fermented, and then we have wine, right? So chometz is not fermentation. Chometz is fermentation of the 5 grains which are forbidden to become chometz. So otherwise we wouldn't have any Pesach wine on the Pesach Seder. Wouldn't that be a sad sight? Exactly. Right. So you're allowed to have that. You're allowed to have things like yogurt as well, which also has this fermentation process. Anything else with the fermentation process, as long as those 5 grains are not involved. Okay. It's difficult to grasp. Sometimes you need 5 brains to figure all this out. Okay. What qualifies as chametz? Only something that's edible. If you have a piece of bread that's been lying in the back of your cupboard for the last 25 years, would you eat it? Would your dog eat it? Then it does not qualify as chametz. But the ants are not mentioned in our Exodus story, and the dogs are. So we honor the dogs. So if your dog will not eat something, it does not qualify as chometz, even though it is chometz, less than the size of an olive, Israeli olive, a pisayis. Okay, so that's one of the laws when you're trying to figure out what in my house is chometz. It must be edible. A dog must be able to eat it. Babies eat things that even dogs won't eat. But that doesn't mean that it's chometz. Babies eat anything. Right? they don't have a conscious decision of what they're eating. So dogs, they do. Dogs are a bit smarter than babies for the first few days. But then afterwards, yeah, it changes. Okay. So here are the 3 prohibitions we pick up from chometz in the Torah. First prohibition is don't eat chometz. Don't eat it at all. So this year, this is our kosher symbol you'll find on all the kosher for Pesach products. You can see there it says 5778, 2018. I was recently at the Pick and Pay around the corner, well, not around the corner, the one there in Ferry Glen, where they usually every year try and get some stock in for kosher for Pesach. And I bought some stuff that had a sticker from last year, 5777. But it's schmaltz, and if any of you know what schmaltz is, it'll probably survive a nuclear attack. So I guess that's fine. But this is the picture for this year, 2018, 5778, and it says there, kosher for Passover. Okay, kosher le Pesach on top there. If there's missing a few letters or if it's misspelled, don't buy it. That comes from China. It's Hong Kong. Okay, you've seen those fake things they make now. Instead of Nike, they've got no keys and all these things. Alright, so that's our symbol for this year. You'll find it in a lot of stuff. I already saw last week Friday at that Pick and Pay, they've already got crushed almonds and stuff that have the sticker on already. So hopefully this week I'll go chat with the manager and ask him, hey, are you going to put up a corner with all your kosher Pesach stuff so we can come shop here? That'd be nice. They did that 2 years back and they stopped last year for some reason. Yes, so kosher wines, the good thing is a lot of products you find will say kosher for Pesach and all year round. So most of the wines will be kosher all year round with the Pesach. So you'll see on the bottom of a wine bottle, it's got the O and the U inside for kosher, and there's got a P next to it to say kosher for Pesach. So usually all of them are imported. We'll see what Buxbech does this year. They usually have as well. We'll see what they do. They probably put a sticker on. Yeah, I'm sure it's all year round kosher for Pesach as well. Yeah. Okay, so don't eat chometz means you have to check all your food, all your stuff in your pantry, in your cupboards. You're going to have to go through them one for one and see which of them contain chometz and what you need to get rid of. Now, if you don't want to do the whole selling thing, you can try and eat everything before Pesach. Good luck on that. Try not to use your scale while you do that. But or you can just donate all your food. But don't donate your food to someone who's Jewish. It doesn't make any sense. Okay. Give it to someone who doesn't keep Pesach. Yeah, someone who doesn't celebrate Pesach, someone who will benefit from it. It's a good idea. Okay. You'll also have to check all your sauces. Tamati sauce. You can't have normal old gold tomato sauce. They use a grain-derived leavening agent for their, what is it called? The vinegar that you find in it. So you get special kosher for Pesach mustard and tomato sauce and Worcestershire sauce as well. And what else do you get? There's a whole bunch of other sauces you get as well. Balsamic vinegar, there's one specific. Vanilla essence uses chometz usually. So you have to get special ones kosher for Pesach. Chutney, I don't know if they make one because chutney is most a thing we make over here. I don't know if they've got blatang everywhere else in Israel and the rest of the world. Your drinks, certain drinks you can't have. So poor old Errol over here is not going to have any whiskey for the 7 days. Right? Whiskey is a grain derivative, so it's chometz. So you can't have no whiskey. There's a few other ones. We'll get to the products shortly and we'll discuss them one by one. Even Coca-Cola, they're importing kosher for Pesach Coke. I'll show you later. You also have to check your medicine because you take your medicine orally, right? So it's the same as eating chometz. You've got to have a look at your medicine. And Pesach, we always get, let me just find, here, where did it go? Did I leave it at home now? Here it is. So, Pick and Pay every year brings out a kosher for Pesach guide. So this is last year's one. Hopefully they'll have them here by this week Friday. If you guys don't go before me, I'll go fetch all of them and bring them here to the shul so you can get them on Shabbos or next week or whenever. Where they've got a list of all the medication in South Africa, the 250 most used medication in South Africa, which are kosher for Pesach and which aren't kosher for Pesach. So there's a whole list in here, including foods, including all these things that we have to check. So if I can get all of these, I'll bring them for you guys. They really are a lifesaver. But it's a pretty thick book to go through. And also talks to you about the commandments of Chometz, there's a message from the rabbi, there's all these things to prepare you for Pesach. And of course your cosmetics, ladies. You got to check that your cosmetics also are kosher for Pesach, if they're edible. Will your dog eat your lipstick? Yes, it will, eh? Depends. Depends on your dog, I guess.
Interesting, I read a interesting fact last night that the average woman consumes about 4 pounds of lipstick throughout their life.
Wow.
When they lick their lips and all that, and they get taken thoroughly.
That's intense. You know what they make lipstick from? Squashed octopuses and stuff. Yeah, man, there's a bunch. You must check it. You get kosher lipstick, by the way, eh? Especially if you're married to a rabbi because he wants to kiss you, and you just make sure. Okay. So your cosmetics you have to check as well. Okay. The next prohibition for chometz is that you shall not derive any benefit from chometz. How do you like my cool picture? Ne? Not allowed to derive any benefit from chometz. So, if you were to own a bakery, your bakery has to be closed for the 7 days. You're not allowed to make money out of chometz during Pesach. Not allowed to derive benefit. You can't make any money off of it. If you sell something with chometz in it as well, you need to actually sell your company for that week. Yeah, interesting, because you're deriving benefit from it. You can't feed it to your dogs neither, so even your dog food needs to be checked if it's kosher for Pesach. Alright, so you can buy that at Kosher World in Joburg, should be probably the only place that'll have something that's kosher for Pesach. Unless you feed your dogs maybe like leftover chicken that you guys made during Pesach. You might have to put them on normal food for that week. Alrighty, and then the third prohibition is don't own any chometz. Right, that's how you get your car ready for Pesach. Okay. You're not allowed to own any chometz in your house, meaning you have to go look at every place in your house. We'll discuss that shortly. Even if you own a holiday home, then that is part of your possessions. You're not allowed to have any chometz in your possession. So you need to fly down and have a quick weekend away and clean up your house from any chometz. In your car as well, you need to clean out your car, wash your carpets, vacuum your car, because there's a lot of chometz, especially those of us that work on sites. We like to eat our lunch in our car, right? And we like to leave it there for the next 2 years until we finish the contract. Alright, so you got to clean your car out as well for Pesach. And your business, if you own a business, you got to go clean the business as well because it's part of your possession. If you own the property, yes. They sell their houses. Yes. So those that can afford it in Judaism, they go for a Pesach retreat. And they sell their houses off and they go away on a holiday for a week. And they have the most lovely holiday with this kosher for Pesach catering. And they can sit in the river or at the sea. And they come back after Pesach and buy back their house for another 1 rand. Anyone want to do that this year? I think any of us can afford it, right? In the near future, God willing. Hey? At R1, baby. Yeah. Unfortunately, you have to pay for the hotel you go to. That's a problem. Your vacuum cleaner as well. And it doesn't help you throw all your chometz in your dustbin and don't take out your dustbin. Some of the stuff is edible. Trust me, I've been on sites when I've been really hungry. And I found a tinky that's been there for a long time. And it was a time when I was wondering about ethics and I thought, I don't mind. We'll repent tomorrow. Alright, here are some observances. We try not to use already opened products. So if you have a bag of sugar that's already opened, you try, it's raining, Baruch Hashem. You're going to try not to use that sugar. You can put that with your stuff that you're going to hide away for Pesach. No, I think that's the reason why, because you want to buy a new one that every year they put a heksha on it just for that specific reason. Another reason that sugar might be kosher for Pesach is sometimes they add to sugar and spices, they add a certain grain mixture just so that the spices don't stick to each other. And that's why all your spices in your cupboard are probably not kosher for Pesach. So you might as well get rid of them and for Pesach buy new ones. And you've got new spices for the rest of the year. Don't do what I did the first year. At the end of Pesach, I packed all my Pesach stuff in one cupboard and said, I'll use you next year. Because they put the expiry date a week before Pesach begins the next year. So it's one of those things where how brave you are to live off the expiry date. Alright, don't use open products. Another example would be your butter. Every morning now you're using butter to smear on your toast, and when you use that knife, some of the crumbs of the bread goes back into your butter tub as well. You're going to have chometz in there. You have to get rid of that before Pesach. Any other spread you've got, all these things that are already open, your sugar, your coffee, all these things, you're going to need new ones for Pesach. It's kosher for Pesach unless you use toast now. Yes, but I can tell you what, there's a lot of stuff they put kosher hekshas on just for the sake of making you buy it. It's normally kosher anyway. But do yourself a favor, if you see something with a heksha, sponsor our bet din. They need a lot of help. Alright, here's a quick question. This is a normal kosher question, not a Pesach question. What happens if a drop of milk falls into your beef stew? Remember, we're not allowed to mix meat and milk. What happens if a drop of milk falls into maybe a stew in that big pot over there? Is it kosher, yes or no? The answer is yes. So in Judaism and kashrut laws, we've got this principle where we say if 1/60th, if the milk that falls in that pot is less than 1/60th of the overall contents of the pot, then it doesn't make a difference. Then you don't have to throw away the whole pot. Okay, so if that happens, you're fine. But don't go and throw a whole 2 liters of milk in there and say, oops, it was an accident. Right? And don't throw in on purpose neither. That also doesn't count. So you can't say you're making a beautiful beef stew, but it just needs a little bit of a cream on top. So when you by accident flick some sparkles in there, can't do that neither. So that's a normal law for kashrut. When it comes to Pesach, what if 1 crumb falls in your soup pot? Kosher, yes or no? No, because you shall have absolutely no chometz in your possession. So it differs from your normal kashrut laws. There's a few places where the kosher for Pesach laws differ from normal kashrut laws. So even if 1 crumb falls in your soup pot, it is no longer accepted. Because what happens is that soup absorbs, so to say, the flavor of chometz. And you can't get rid of it. So be careful with that. Because remember, you're busy making your food for Pesach before Pesach. So this is always a possibility. So what you're going to want to do is try and get your house set up so that at least a week before Pesach, all the chometz is out of your house and you're cooking in a kosher for Pesach kitchen. That way you can store things away. It helps a lot. But you're allowed to eat chometz until the 14th of Nisan that morning, remember? So there's a commandment to destroy chometz. And the way we do that is on the 14th of Nisan, when after you've cleaned your whole house, you have the last bit of chometz that you had the night before that your kids went searching for, and you burn that on a fire. So you can do that, burn it on a fire. One way to do it is, usually people put it in plastic bags and hide it and the kids go find it and the next day you're supposed to burn it. It doesn't burn that nicely when you've got a plastic bag. If you take it and put it into newspaper, that's a great idea because it's not going to kill the fire. It's going to help the fire burn. So if you want to do that, make a little viertjie. Een viertjie stoken on the 14th of Nisan and you can burn your last chometz. You have to destroy chometz. Okay, and we spoke about it must be edible to qualify as actual chometz. Okay, here's some products. No bread, no cookies, no grains, no cereals. You're going to have to get kosher for Pesach, all of these. No pasta. Pasta also has to be kosher for Pesach. No beer, no whiskey, right? Your sauces and your spices you have to check. We spoke about vanilla essence, your tomato sauce and your mustard sauce and all the other sauces we mentioned. All of your spices have to be checked pretty much. You even get kosher for Pesach salt. Coca-Cola. So what our Beth Din has done this year, they do this every year by the way, is they import our Coca-Cola for us. They've imported a certain syrup that they're going to use because the normal Coca-Cola syrup has a corn syrup, which is some people don't use it because of kitniot, etc., etc. So they've imported a special one and they've cleaned out certain machines in the Coke factory specifically just to make a bunch of kosher for Pesach Cokes. So you'll see it in the shops. It's quite nice, yeah. It's got a bit of a different flavor. Some people chase after it because it's only once a year that we can get this flavor. So even people that are not Jewish try and buy it sometimes. So you'll see that around in the shops. Milk has never been a problem until this year. Because of all the advances in technology, now they're starting to add certain Chometz agents into the milk for preservation. So this year they decided they're going to put hechshers on the milk as well. So that's a bit of a problem because you can't exactly just drive to Joburg to go buy milk and bread. Well, milk and matzah. So keep that in mind this year as you do your milk shopping. Almond milk is good to go. Should be good to go. Yeah, or rice milk even. What other milk is there nowadays? Soya milk. What about camel milk? Camel milk. Not kosher. Be careful. They started adding camel milk to a few things in Woolies. So Woolies has got a few things with camel milk in it if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they had, a while back they had some Mediterranean thing that had camel milk in it.
Doesn't seem to have a lot of kosher stuff in it. It used to have a lot of kosher stuff, and now I actually struggle to find kosher stuff.
Yeah, it's because of all the BDS movement stuff that in the normal Woolies like over here, you won't find too many things with the heksha. But there is still a lot of stuff that doesn't have the kosher symbol on. That is kosher. But if you go to Joburg, you'll find those Woolies over there. They're stocked with kosher stuff as well. Yeah, so it's one of those things you have to learn with time. So you can enjoy that again. Chickens. If you're buying a chicken and you want to cook on Pesach, what are the dangers of a chicken? It eats grains. What if there's still some undigested stuff in its stomach, in the gizzard, etc., etc.? That's a problem. So when you buy chicken for Pesach, make sure you buy kosher for Pesach chicken. They actually start feeding them different stuff earlier as well before they slaughter them. Yeah, so even our chickens are kosher for Pesach. Eggs. Why would eggs be a problem? That's wrong. The egg didn't ferment out of the chicken, did it? So sometimes if you buy eggs from people that don't sell that at the grocery store, for example, my brother-in-law next door here, he sells eggs. He's got chickens here on his property and he sells eggs. People like to buy from him because it's free range and it's not injected with all sorts of weird stuff. But sometimes those eggs are not clean. Some people like to keep the eggs dirty because apparently they say it lasts longer or something. The excrement of the chicken might still have some unprocessed grain in it. And sometimes that's stuck on the shell of the egg. And that is chometz. So you got to clean your eggs as well in preparation for Pesach. Yeah. No, you got to polish those eggs. If you want, you can paint them and you can join an Easter party. Another thing, check this out. Napkins and paper towels. Some of them are made from a starch derivative. Now, you're not going to eat it necessarily, are you? The napkin and the paper towel, are you? But is it going to come into contact with your Pesach food while you eat at the table? Yes, it is. So for safety's sake, you can check some of the times you can check the ingredients of your napkins and your paper towels because they might be made from a starch derivative. You got to be very careful when it comes to things around your dining room table where you're going to eat your food. There you have to take extra precaution because it's going into your mouth. So whereas something in your bathroom might be made of starch, that's fine because it's not edible. If you bring it to your table where you eat, it's going to come into contact with your food and that's going to become a problem. Here's some more products. Medicine. So if you have to take medicine because of a life-threatening disease or danger or something like diabetes or whatever, then you're allowed to take it, right? Because life supersedes all the commandments in the Torah. But if it's just for vitamins or just your jungle lights or whatever you guys need, then you should not take it for the week of Pesach. So once again, refer to your list in the kosher guide we're going to have. So your vitamins you skip, your cosmetics. So how do you decide which cosmetics are chometz and which are not? Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, is one of our greatest halachic authorities of the 19th century, 20th century? Yeah, recently. He went and defined for us that any cosmetic that contains ethyl alcohol is considered chometz, because you can actually take that, distill it, and you can make yourself chometz. You can make yourself some nice, I don't know, I don't want to say vodka, but you can make yourself a nice alcohol out of it. So it only applies to non-solids. Your bar of soap, if it's got chometz in it, it's fine, it's not edible. You're not going to distill it. Hopefully none of you eat soap. I don't know. In America recently, they've had this thing going on where they eat these things called Tide Pods. I don't know if you heard about that. It's like a challenge they had on Facebook or something, and now people are eating the stuff you add to your dishwasher or your washing machine. They're eating that. So I don't know, maybe the halakha has changed this year because of that. They're getting crazier and crazier each year. Anyway. Your cleaning agents, you've got to be careful because you're going to clean your house, your kitchen for Pesach. So you get kosher for Pesach cleaning agents. But your normal sunlight, I'll have to check up for you. They usually specifically bring out kosher for Pesach ones. But one of the main reasons for this is because you always use it to wash your dishes. So the chances that you've got chometz in the little nozzle on top is very likely. So you want to get a new one for Pesach. I still have some left over from last year that I can use this year. Your dishwash liquid as well, yeah. Your new cloth when you're washing, etc., etc. Washing powder also sometimes has starch. Now you're not going to eat your shirt, are you? But you're going to wear a shirt while you're eating your Pesach Seder, and sometimes the food falls on your shirt. Some people have the custom of putting matzah on their shoulder at one point during the Pesach Seder, so you're going to want to be careful about what type of washing powder you use as well. Flour, like we said earlier, you're allowed to have flour, but it's a big risk because if any water comes into contact with it, chometz within 18 minutes. I'll have to work out the price for Camp Gordon this year, so you can all come camp at my house.
I'll bring my tent.
You bring your tent. So make sure your tent is kosher for Pesach. By the way, I saw this morning that our kashrut division in South Africa sent out an advertisement that says, if you want to kosher all your dishes, you can come do it on Sundays and I think Wednesdays at Norwood Mall in Joburg. They've got a place set up where you can come bring your dishes and they kosher it for you. But I'll explain to you guys how to do it tonight so you can do it at home so you don't have to travel all that way. I do it every year at my house and in the shul, so I'll show you guys how it's done. Alright, where should you clean in your house? Do you have to clean every single room? Depends, yeah. Well, ideally you should, but whether you need to is debatable. Only rooms where chometz is taken, meaning your whole kitchen basically, right? Only rooms where you know people take food into. So if you've got a guest room that hasn't been used for an entire year, there's no chometz in that room, you don't have to clean that room, right? If you know for a fact that you and your spouse don't take food into your bathroom, then you don't have to clean the bathroom, right? Or in the bedroom. But many of us like to nibble in the bed, so you have to do that. So, in your kitchen, you have to clean everything, but you don't have to move heavy furniture like your fridge. You don't have to go in behind your fridge to find chometz. Remember, it's not edible, so you don't have to worry about that chometz. Same with your furniture as well. If you've got heavy furniture that's difficult to move, you don't have to go underneath the furniture to take out the chometz there, right? Because it's not in a place that you would eat food from. If you've got furniture that you do move around quite often, then under that furniture you should look. You should clean it with a vacuum cleaner. That's probably the best way to get it. You should clean your offices, because we like to nibble while we study or nibble while we work. Your keyboards as well. Turn your keyboards upside down. One of the cool tricks you can use to get the crumbs out of your keyboard is just normal press stick. Take press stick and you stick it in between each of the little characters. And you can take out, or sticky tape, and you can shake it upside down. You can do some magic with it. Or if you want to get a whole new keyboard for Pesach, be my guest. Tell your boss, maybe he'll give it to you. Your dining room is a big work because that's where you eat all your food. So you want to make sure that everywhere there in your dining room is clean. Vacuum all your carpets. It's a good time for spring cleaning. You might as well wash your carpets, right? Your dining room table is a problem. It's usually made of wood, right? And chometz is eventually engraved into the wood. It happens. So the best thing you can do, because if you want to go and kosher your dining room table, you're going to have to go and boil it. Alright, no one wants to boil a table. You're going to ruin your wood and you're going to mess it up, and etc., etc. So the best thing to do is to go buy a big sheet of plastic. Buy it at a hardware store or wherever, and you put it over your table for a Pesach. After you've cleaned the table. Right? Clean the table thoroughly, underneath, on top, etc. And then put the plastic on top and you're good to go for Pesach. Keep the plastic on it the whole Pesach.
If you use a tablecloth anyway,
You should put plastic on top of that tablecloth because the chometz also is absorbed into that tablecloth. And remember we spoke earlier about washing machine powders that might have starch in it. If you've got a tablecloth and your food falls on the tablecloth, it's come into contact with chometz and you're going to eat it now, so it becomes edible. Yeah?
they sell a box with 1 tablecloth.
Yes, so yeah, in all the Jewish plastic shops you'll find there's this box, it's about this big, yay big, and it's full of plastic tablecloths, which is for every Friday night for Sabbath, because you've got the white tablecloth and someone's going to miss the wine on your white tablecloth. So you always put that over on Friday night. It's a good thing to buy this time of year. So I'm thinking if you guys have never been to the kosher shops in Joburg, this year would be a good time just before Pesach. Go do your grocery shopping one day, go to the big Pick and Pay in Norwood. That's a great idea. Your bedroom, if you eat there, then you have to clean your bedroom and wash your beddings, of course. But it's always a good idea to wash everything in your bedroom before a Yom Tov anyway, before Pesach begins, before any festival. If you have kids, I'm sorry to say, you have to clean every single room because kids have a mind of their own and they like to carry food with them as they go on their mighty adventures. So you have to go to every single room, right? In addition, you have to clean their toys. For little kids that still play with toys, Chometz falls in their toys. Anything they come into contact with, you're going to have to keep in mind. Right? I don't know how many of you have seen that video. I saw a video recently of a little kid. It was somewhere in Asia, where the mom was trying to feed the kid bread, and then a seagull came in and stole the bread. And the kid said, no. She grabbed the seagull by the neck and took the bread out of the seagull's mouth and tried to eat it again. So kids will eat almost anything. Right? And they'll take it wherever they want. Okay, now what do you need to clean? Your dining room table, we spoke about the plastic on it. Your cupboards in your kitchen, right? You have to clean them because there might be chometz in there. Your clothes, have you thought about this? Your pockets might have chometz in it. Especially if you have kids, they like to take takeaways. Or if you put a cookie in your pocket, that's a problem because it's still edible, right? And a lot of us men that have these shirts with the pockets on top here, a lot of our food falls out into these pockets. So you're going to want to do all your washing before Pesach as well. And leave them in the cupboard and say, from now on, don't eat any chometz. Okay. Your beddings you're going to wash. Your books. Have you thought about this? We like to snack on stuff while we read our books. And a lot of chometz gets caught inside them. And then we study these same books on the festival of Pesach. Yeah, so what you can do is you can take all your books out of your cupboard, turn them upside down, hit them on the spine. And that should be good enough to get the chometz out. Okay. Your couches, you're going to have to clean in between the couches, under the cushions. You're going to lift it up and you're going to have to vacuum there. Your dentures and your braces. For those of you that have dentures or braces, we can always put them in a steamer for you if you want, or in a microwave if you want to nuke them. And your braces you have to clean with those special tools you get when you get braces. Try not to boil them in your mouth because that's going to hurt. Your cell phones. Have you thought about that? Right? Some of us have these covers for our cell phones. And many times chometz comes into the little nooks and crannies of the cell phones as well. So you're going to want to take that out and clean that before Pesach as well. Your appliances that you use, all your appliances in your kitchen that you use. Toaster. Here's my advice for a toaster. Get rid of it. Put it in a box away for Pesach. It's extremely difficult to clean your toaster for Pesach. So don't even think about using it. You're not going to use it anyway, right? You can't toast matzah. Yeah, it does qualify as destroyed crumbs though. Alright, cool. Okay, so that's the cleaning process. How about koshering? Now, you're going to want to make your dishes kosher for Pesach because obviously your knives and your forks and your raspers and all these things are now chometzi. They call it chometzdik. So what are you going to do? You want to kosher them. How do you kosher your utensils, not just for Pesach but for all year round? So there's 3 specific ways of koshering that I'm going to just touch on. The one that we use the most is the one for boiling. That's the only one you're really going to use in your house, unless you want to use certain things that need to be done through fire. The first process is called hagala, through boiling in water, because the way that you make something kosher is by the same way that it became unkosher. So if you boiled something with chametz in that pot, now you're going to want to boil the pot with normal water to get the chametz out. If you burned something without any water with chametz, you have to use fire to burn the chametz out. Right, so hagala is boiling, libun is fire, and then you've got a thing called libun kal, which is like this weird process which basically has fire instead of boiling. We're not going to discuss that tonight because I don't think it'll apply to you guys this year. Okay, so let's look at our kitchen utensils, right? If any of you have won the lotto this year, do yourself a favor and buy yourself or build yourself a new kitchen. Right, the ultra rich and famous Jews actually have a separate Pesach kitchen built into their house. Yeah, can you believe that? But not many of us can do that. So let's carry on for the rest of us plebeians. Before you want to kosher any of your things, you have to leave it for 24 hours cleaned. So you choose a day to clean everything in your house, wash it, soap it, etc., etc. Leave it for 24 hours, and then you can begin the kashering process, which we're going to discuss now. Right, so boiling or in fire. Now, cutlery, you can boil, right? So here's a few examples: knives and forks, spoons, right? Normal ones like these, you can boil them in a pot. So you get yourself a nice big pot, fill it with water, bring it to the boil, but it has to be what we call a rolling boil, right? So it's got to continuously boil. So you're going to want to use your kettle to warm up water the whole time and throw it and add it here and put this on your stove till it's a rolling boil. Then you're going to take your knives and forks and spoons and add them either 1 by 1 or 2 by 2 or 3 by 3, but not all at once. Why? Because then it stops the rolling boil. If you add too much, it stops boiling. Then it's not kashering anymore. So you can either do it 1 by 1 or 2 by 2, or you can even take these. Have you seen these gloves nowadays? These are those gloves that go into boiling water and you don't get burned. So this is nice. I use this every year. I take it, put it into the rolling boil, take it out. You can throw it into cold water, or you can just leave it on a clean napkin, and now it's kosher for Pesach. Right? Put a bunch in there, take it out. Don't burn yourself. Question? Yeah, so that's one of the problems is if you hold it at one point, you're stopping the contact of water between that point and where you're holding it. So you're going to want to let go of it and we'll pick it up again. Just for safety's sake, so you can know that everything is properly kosher. What about a knife and a fork like this? Here's a problem. Because this knife and fork is not completely made of steel. It's got these handles that are attached. And what happens is Chometz comes in between these little gaps where the handles are attached and you can't get it out. Things like these, impossible to kasher. You can't use it for Pesach. Okay. Put it in the box of things that you're not going to have for Pesach. If you want, you can spend your whole Pesach using plastic knives and forks. Don't worry, we won't laugh at you because we're all doing it together, probably. Right? The best thing is plastic and paper plates. Yeah, but even with the paper plates, make sure you got one that doesn't use starch. So you get these cheap plastic plates as well. Use them instead. That's what we do here in the shul every year. Bright orange plates. Certain things you cannot kasher, like sieves. Things with small little holes in them, impossible to kasher. Even if you've got one in your zinc as well, you know you've got those strainers in your zincs, can't kasher them. Even your water filters, the filters that you add onto the end of the tap, you can't kasher those. So you've got to take them off for that week of Pesach. Can't use them. Or the handles. So like we said, the handles of the knives and forks, you can't kasher inside there. So too bad. Can't use them. You have to use completely.
So you can't even put a new filter on?
You can. You can probably, yeah. New filter will be fine. But you want to put a completely new thing. Because you can't clean the holder of the filter neither. So that whole head has to come off. Why do you want to? Why do you want to? Because the chometz is stuck in the sieve, in the filter itself. Yeah, but that's why you take out the filter and don't use it at all. Yeah, but your water that you're drinking has come into contact with chometz, so the water now becomes chometzdik because it's come into contact with the chometz. Even if you're not eating the crumbs, your water becomes chometz now. Problem, eh?
Basically, you need to take the whole filter off your tap.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just go get water from a normal tap. And then hope that no one's dropped any crumbs along the way when it's come to you from the city council. But you can't kill you for what you do not know about, right? Alright. Your pots. How do you kasher your pots? Question, Karen. That's one way to do it, yeah. It helps because you want to keep it boiling the whole time. So that helps as well, yeah. Okay, so what about pots? How do you kosher a pot? You got to boil a pot in another pot. Right, have you seen those little Russian dolls that come out of each other? Right, that's what you can do. So you get yourself the biggest pot you have and you fill it up with boiling water. You don't need to kasher that pot because it automatically becomes kashered by boiling, right? So you're going to fill that one up with water to kasher the other pots. So you're going to take your smaller pots, and while that's boiling, you're going to immerse the entire pot into that pot, take it out, and it's kasher. Problem: handles. You can't kasher in between these little handles. So most of these have got screws. you can take off the handles and kasher it. Right? So we do that every year. Take off the handles, kasher it, and then you use it like that for Pesach. If you can afford to get a new pot set that you can save for Pesach, it does a lot of help. But it's not that hard to kasher the pots. So if you're ever going to have to buy a new set of pots, try and get ones that don't have these separate handles. Get ones that have metal handles as well, because that's much easier. You can just dip the whole thing one time. So that's how you kasher pots. Because they became unkosher for Pesach through boiling, so you have to kosher them through boiling as well. Same with the lids, you'll take off the handle and you'll pop it in there, you take it out, and now it is kosher for Pesach.
What about if you like bread pan with like biscuit tray?
You're gonna cry. You're gonna cry because let's check where are they. I'll come to them now. Also, I'll talk about bread pans and racks in the oven as well. They go in. They don't become kosher through boiling. They become kosher through direct heat, fire. So that's how you kosher them. Yeah. All right, plates and mugs. You cannot kosher your plates and your mugs. Porcelain or clay or whatever they're made out of. Impossible to kosher them. So you can't use them on Pesach. Put them away. Okay. That's why if someone brings unkosher food to your house and you eat out of your plate has now become unkosher. You can't use it again. So whenever someone gives, like on my wedding, me and Becca, we got some gifts, some porcelain gifts, and we didn't know if we could use it because we had to actually go and ask the people, has anyone ever used this before you gave it to us? Because otherwise it's unkosher and we can't use it. So that's unfortunately one of the things. Porcelain and all these things, China, all those things are unkosher. By the way, don't go to China anyway because the country is unkosher as well. Talking about China. Hey? Mugs, yeah, you dip your rusk in there when you drink your coffee. No, it absorbs the chometz into it. And there's no way for you to get it out of porcelain. Metal, we can boil it out, but not out of porcelain or mugs or any of these things. There you go. Those camping ones. Or those, what are those old ones we used to eat out of back in the day? Those steel koppies and plates. What are those things called again? We used to make milk tart in them. That stuff. Plastic you cannot kosher. So don't bring any plastic from before Pesach into Pesach. You're welcome to take new plastic and use that for Pesach as well. So unfortunately. Glass is a complex one because there's a difference of opinions. The minimum basis is that glass is fine. Drink out of glasses. Plates is different because you cut into them the whole time. So don't use glass plates that you use during the year. Glasses that you drink out of, according to Sephardi custom, it's not a problem. You don't have to kosher them or nothing. You can just use them straight to Pesach. The more stringent view and the Ashkenazi view is that you have to kosher glass. So the way that you kosher glass is not through boiling and not through fire. So there's a weird way. What we do is we spend 3 days koshering glass. You take all your glass utensils and you put it into your bath. And you put in water into your bath. And you let it stay there for about the whole day long, 12 hours. And then you're going to empty that water. Actually 24 hours. Then you empty that water and you add new water. You do this 3 times for 3 days long. Then you've koshered glass. Or you can just convert to become Sephardi. And then use. Many people switch between their traditions during Pesach. Question? You have something yourself? You don't know? Clearly this is your first Pesach. First rodeo. Hey?
What do you feel like living in the Cape Town with the warriors speaking?
Then you move to Gatingeling. What they do is they make, like what I said with pig and pasting. They put out a big urn in the street and you come with all your dishes and everyone, you book your time and you come and they kosher it for you while you wait. We saw this in Jerusalem, in Mia Sherim, we were there one year. There's 2 rabbis there. There's this big urn about as tall as shorter than me, but the size of a normal Jew, right? There's big urns that size. And they get on a ladder and they got these big gloves and you bring your stuff and they dip it and dunk it and dry it for you and give it back to you and it's kosher for Pesach. So they save water by using these mega kosher points for you. So there where you go collect water, they should probably put up a good koshering urn for you as well. Okay. Alright, what should you clean in your kitchen? Your zincs you need to clean. How do you kosher them? With boiling water. You can actually just take your kettle, boil your kettle, pour the boiling water over your zinc. Try and cover every inch of your zinc and it's kosher for Pesach. Okay, you're going to want to do that. You're going to want to kosher your taps as well while you're there. Your countertops, your granite and etc. Boiling water as well, but be careful because it might drip down onto your cupboards and ruin your cupboards. Wood problem. Your wooden tops, put plastic on top of them or foil. So here's an example. Someone's already went in space age our color. So you can point around a minute. And you're good to go. Make it look like you're living on the International Space Station. Pesach's out of this world. Okay. So boiling water, if you want to be really stringent, once you pour the boiling water on your granite, you can even take your iron and go over your your top with the iron as well, just to make sure that it's extra clean. Be careful that you don't damage your cupboards. It's a bit more difficult when you've got like porcelain tabletops. You can't kasher porcelain, remember? So you're going to want to cover it all with foil or with plastic or something. Something. Dishwashers. Who likes to use dishwashers? All of us, right? Problem, your racks can't be kashered. So if you can get hold of new racks for your dishwasher, then you can use it. But it's such a mission that usually on Pesach you try not to use a dishwasher at all. So one thing you can do is, obviously you can just kasher your zinc, and you'll have to wash by hand for this week. Or if you don't want to kasher your zinc, you can buy yourself one of these. This is like a little plastic zinc you can put inside your zinc. If you guys, when I designed my house, luckily we were able to build a kosher kitchen, so we've got two separate zincs, one for meat, one for milk. But even if you don't have it, if you've got only one zinc at your home, you can buy one of these, and you can do your meat in your zinc and your milk dishes in one of these, or your parev dishes in one of these. Pretty handy little thing. You can even use it for Pesach. For Pesach, you can wash all your stuff in here as well if you would like. Saves you a lot of time. But it's difficult to do dishwashers.
So in other words, if you go like up at a double zinc, so the one side you use
Meat,
and the other side
milk. But you've got to be careful that splashing doesn't occur. That's another thing you've got to be very careful of, which is extremely difficult if you're washing a small thing like that.
Yeah.
Right. So keep that in mind. Alright, your oven. How to clean your oven, because that's obviously the big thing where a lot of Chometz is going. You've got to clean it thoroughly first. If you've got a self-cleaning oven, then you're good to go. You can just put the self-cleaning process on and it becomes kosher for Pesach. If not, you've got to clean it thoroughly. And then you heat it to its maximum for 5 hours. Yeah. There it goes. And if you're on a gas oven as well, just make sure you've got a spare bottle lying in the garage. Right, 5 hours, so it completely incinerates everything and it becomes kosher for Pesach. But there's a problem, the oven racks. You asked us about this earlier, the oven racks. Oven racks, baking pans, these things cannot be koshered by boiling because they didn't become unkosher by boiling. It needs to be torched, blow-torched if you have one. If you don't have this, what are you going to do? Wrap it in foil, okay? But do yourself a favor, don't use normal foil, use heavy foil. You can tell it's heavy because it's heavy, okay? Or it says it on the box, right? Use heavy foil and double wrap your oven racks, and you can use them just like that for Pesach. In fact, I think our heating trays here in the shoe are still double wrapped from last year Pesach. And anyway, we'll have to put new ones in there. Okay, so you can double wrap your oven racks. Do you have a question there, Sal? Camping idea? Maybe next year we should have a Pesach retreat. Well, they sell their Chometz to Gentiles, remember? But if you're aligning yourself with Messiah as a Messianic believer, and you want to keep Pesach in remembrance of Him, and you want to do it properly, do it. You have that divine invitation. You should be doing it. It's the best of your ability. And here's the thing. Don't look at all these things as chores, right? It's a mitzvah to clean your house for Pesach. So look at all these things as mitzvahs. Don't look at them as chores. There's extra opportunities. God's got this divine time of the year that He set apart for us to be able to perform more mitzvahs than usual to connect closer to Him. So while you are scrubbing the back of your oven or cleaning out your fridge, recite psalms, do some prayers. Think about how much Hashem has had to go into your heart and clean you out. Then you start realizing what a great miracle the Pesach miracle is. Yes. Yeah, you mustn't do so much that you get discouraged from keeping Pesach altogether. That is not part of the point. Right? So do as much as you can, but here's some tips for you guys. It's not as hard as it sounds now. It's fun. Trust me, it's fun. You're preparing for Pesach, man. It's like spring cleaning. It makes you happy. It's good to see some get out those rubber gloves. How do you kasher your stovetop or your heating tray? Well, if you've got one of those electric stove tops, you turn it on maximum heating until they go completely red. You know that when you can see it's red. Right? Then it's been kashered for Pesach. However, you can't kasher the sections in between the stove tops. So you're going to want to cover that if you can with foil. Clean it, cover it with foil, and try not to get any food falling in there while you're busy cooking for Pesach. What about if you have a gas stove? Gas stove is fire. So you're going to want to turn on the fire for an hour. There goes the gas price as well. Right? Just so it cleans the grids that you put on top of it. Because you want to clean them with fire. And then also you're going to cover the in-between parts with foil as well. Alright, microwave. Same way that you kosher it even if you had an unkosher microwave. You take a polystyrene cup, you fill it with water or halfway through with water, and you put the microwave on until all the water has evaporated out of the polystyrene cup. That koshers your entire microwave. So if you've only got one microwave and during the year you want to use it one hour you want to use it for milk and the next hour you want to use it for meat, you can use this process as well. Polystyrene cup with water koshers your microwave. Very important because lots of us are too lazy to cook, so we use the microwave just to nuke our food quickly at night and then we go to sleep. Right? So that's a good way to kosher your microwave. Frying pans and baking trays, throw them away for Pesach. That's the best advice I can give you. It's so difficult to do it because it's also done over fire. But the problem is a lot of frying pans have this coating on it and you can't kosher if it's got that coating. So you want to try and get a new frying pan for your eggs for breakfast for Pesach if you can. Baking trays as well, but baking trays you can cover with foil though. Frying pans, not so much.
I think I'm going on a food diet today.
So there's another law, but it's a rabbinic law that says you're not allowed to fast during the month of Nisan. So thought you'd get your way out of this one, hey? Yeah. Yeah, but just in case you were thinking of fasting. Alright, so that is an overall process of the koshering stuff. Right, so you guys must have learned something new now tonight, I'm sure. Cool. Any other questions besides that? If any other questions come up during the week, please send me an email or phone me up. I've got a book with all the halachas for how to prepare for koshering and all these things for Pesach. I can always look for an answer that we don't find neither. If you've got some sort of a special utensil that's new on the market that we've never dealt with before, ask me and I'll check up for you if we can find out. One year, someone in our shul asked, he's got one of these stovetops that works through induction heat. How do you kosher something with induction heat? I said, I have no idea. And I googled and I couldn't find anything. So we asked the Beit Din, and they said they'll get back to us. And they also said they have no idea. Just use other stove. So yeah, these things come up and we're trying to figure them out. Alright, you guys ready to clean? So Berikat Chometz is the process that we do on the day before Pesach, where we destroy the Chometz, the last time. The night before, so this will be on the night where the 14th of Nisan begins. That night you're going to want to take the last bits of Chometz that you've got one side, you're going to wrap it up and you're going to hide it for either the kids in your house or for your spouse or for yourself. It doesn't help hiding it from yourself, does it? No. Anyway, but you're going to want to go search your house for Chometz that's hidden away. So there's blessings that we recite when we do that process. It's in your Haggadah. So if you do own a Haggadah, it should be in there, or even in a Siddur, it should be in your Pesach Siddur as well. You're going to want to go search for them. Usually you take 10 pieces, or 10 little bags of Chometz and you hide them around. Reminds you of the 10 plagues and the 10 commandments and all these things. And you're going to want to search for it with candlelight. The reason why we search with candlelight is because back when these laws were written, they didn't have flashlights. Right? So today we were encouraged that we can use a flashlight. You don't have to do it at night and you don't have to turn the lights off, but it's nice. It makes it fun for the kids. So flashlights encouraged as well because it helps you see it and makes it shine. So you can use that, but you still try and light a candle as well, just because of the fact that that's the commandment from our rabbis as well. And you let the kids go search for these 10 pieces, and then the next morning you go burn them in your little fire. And here's a nice verse to keep in mind while you do that. Psalm 139. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxieties, and see if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. So while you're searching for Chometz, while you're cleaning, you've got to keep all these things in your mind, that just as you are cleaning your house for Pesach, so too may Hashem come and clean your insides as well, your thoughts and your mind and your heart, from all the other Chometz that you might be having in your mind. You might think, is all of this cleaning, is all of these laws necessary? Here's a beautiful idea. Once you do all this work, you're reminded of the struggle that it took to get us out of Egypt. As you clean every hidden corner of your house, you ask Hashem to cleanse every corner of your heart. As we shine the light into the darkness, looking for the Chometz to find the specks of Chometz, we ask Hashem to fill our heart as well with His light and to show us all of the places where we are filled with pride, we are filled with selfishness, all the Chometz that we're hiding, the leaven of malice and all these things in our own hearts. It's a process of introspection while you are cleaning your house as well. Right, so here's Psalm 24 verse 3. Who may go up to the mountain of the Lord? Who can stand in his holy place? Those with clean hands and pure hearts, who don't make vanities the purpose of their lives or swear oaths just to deceive. They will receive a blessing from Hashem and justice from God who saves them. That's what Pesach is about, is our redemption from Egypt. God will come and save us, but we also have to make sure that we are deserving of it, that we are clean vessels, that we have made sure there's no Chometz, no pride or haughtiness in our character.